I hope you guys are ready for the doozy.
Always ready.
Little Cardona shout out. Real fast, fellas. How long did it take for Roman Reigns to get to the ring last night on Raw?
Answer. Who cares? When that's over, brother, you can take as much time as you want.
You know what? That would have been the correct answer, but it was actually 3 minutes and 48 minutes.
3 minutes and 48 seconds. That's it?
3 minutes. 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Sorry, words are hard. 3 minutes 48 seconds.
To quote my girlfriend, that 3 minutes and 48 seconds felt a lot longer than it was. So,
and that's the intro.
And welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and women slapping meat in the middle of the squared circle and they're telling stories about feelings and happiness and shit. I'm Golden Boy, you got Matt, you got Jake, a.k.a. Mr. Viral, Mr. Just everything he touches turns into gold. Jake, how are you feeling, my friend? How does it feel to know you have a whole belt honored after you in the Rebooked universe?
It feels like the wrong person's named Golden Boy. I don't know. I mean,
or Drama King for that matter. For everything you're stirring up in your takes, man.
Yeah, gimmick infringement. I'm sorry, fellas.
Yeah. It's too good. It's too good. Matt, how's everything on your side of the world over in Chicago?
It's rainy and still cold in April, so hey, doing all right.
What else is new? You know, it's crazy. It's been raining a crap ton here in LA, weirdly enough, right, Jay? It's been so freaking weird. I hate it.
I've loved it. I
love it, but I also hate it because no one in LA knows how to drive. So.
I know. It's the worst. I want more thunder. I miss thunderstorms. We had a good thunderstorm like a week ago. Oh,
yeah. You know what I miss? I miss snow. I miss snow.
Don't say that.
I can give a Jake snow.
Yeah, like
I guess as a New Yorker, I just really like snow.
It's good. It's good on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Yeah. Outside of that, you can take it away.
That's
novelty.
My mom did try to make me shovel a lot of snow as a child, and maybe I have rose-tinted glasses on it. It actually, now that I think about it, it was the worst. But what isn't the worst is all the good stuff that's been happening on Rebooked. We just hit 300 subscribers, which to us is a freaking achievement, so let's go, baby. Make sure you get out there and let people know what's going on about this show because we're doing it differently, and we enjoy it that way. So make sure you like, you sub. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platforms, make sure you rate and review, all that good stuff. And what are we going to be talking about today? There's so much to discuss in the world of pro wrestling. We got Jade Cargill making her big debut. We also are going to talk about what's going on with Will Ospreay over in AEW. And of course, as we wrap things up, we talk about all the big things that happen each and every day on WWE programming because they are cooking. They are cooking. But there is something that I wanted to get off of my chest. Okay, a little bit of musings, if you will. So I have, we don't talk about like rumors and dirt sheets and stuff like that, and I have no intention on doing that here. But something that I've been noticing is I feel like people are misunderstanding that like there is a such thing as different types of pro wrestling, right? And I feel like nowadays everyone sees one thing that's working out very well, and then they're like, everyone should do everything just like that. Everyone sees what's working with WWE, and they're like, everyone should be striving to hit the same type of level and production as WWE. And like, it's no lie, guys. You can only really talk about pro wrestling storylines if you partake in a lot of ganj. And I'm sitting there, enjoying the night away, sipping on my wine, smoking a little bit, vibing out, okay? And it just hit me. AEW has a completely different presentation for the way that they view pro wrestling. AEW is New Japan Pro Wrestling in the United States, right? Fighting spirit, great matches, a lot of those things. And of course, some story in between that involves individuals that are like trying to get the better of one another or something to that effect. And yes, there can be deeper storylines, but for the most part, that's what they're doing. And don't act like WWE is doing literally the same exact thing. They just have a lot more cameras And they have some really good writers, and they're really nailing it right now. But if you notice, one of the things that WWE is doing, and I'm sorry for going on this rant, but I felt like it's very necessary, is that you notice that in WWE, they'll do like storyline, and then they'll do like a banger match in the middle of it, right? Whereas AEW just does a bunch of great matches one after another. It's just a different way of presenting wrestling. And I'm just tired of everyone wanting it to be the same way. It was the same way, and that's how we ended up with like a hand being birthed or something like that. You know, like I just would rather it, I'd rather have variety than not have variety. That's the point I'm trying to get at here. Sure. Fellas, your thoughts.
The miracle of hand birth is not something to be
poo-pooed
first of all, or cast
aside. I'm sorry.
Okay?
That might be my limit. I don't know.
Don't shame that baby.
I'm not trying to shame the baby. The baby's, is it even alive? I mean, like, how can it, how do we make it this far?
Explain Adam's family if it's not alive.
That's fair. I honestly didn't factor that into my thought process, and I apologize profusely. Exactly. No, but I guess the thing that really just bothers me is that, like, everyone's seeing everything that WWE is doing right now, and then they're like, oh, AEW needs to do literally the same thing. And it's like, no. They're two companies in completely different points in their tenures of existence. And on top of which, they present wrestling in completely different ways. It's so absurd that people are just so up in arms about, oh, AEW doesn't book things the way that I want it to go, or WWE isn't like do it the way that I want it to go. It's just pisses me off.
And apply the same thinking to other stuff. You know how you're sick and tired of all the reboots of movies and TV shows and sequels from 40 years ago? I'll give a pass to Top Gun Maverick. But it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. People get afraid to try something new. People get afraid to do something. Just do you and do it better than everybody else. That's all you got to do.
And whatever it is you do. And this is a great reminder that pro wrestling isn't a sport. I'm sorry. It's not. It is a sport athletic-based form of entertainment. Because that's the idea of, like, baseball is a big American sport. It's played the way it's played. So yes, if I turned on another channel and they were playing baseball with golf clubs, and I'd be like, what are you doing? That's not baseball.
Cricket. That's
cricket. If you're calling it baseball.
Yeah,
right?
I guess, right? But that's wrestling is akin to, like, I don't know, theater or film.
It's performance.
Or television. It is a genre of entertainment that can be done. You can make horror films and comedies and dramas and romances and rom-coms, and you can make long dramatic shows, and you can make 15-minute sketch shows, and it's that type of thing where it's like, yes, please. And I get where people are coming from, because it seems in a lot of ways, since its launch, AEW was trying to be that same thing as WWE, but an alternative. So I think there's and here's the thing, folks. They've only been on TV, what is it now, 5-6 years? With Dynamite?
I think so, yeah.
That's still, like...
Maybe less, actually. Wait a minute.
It's so new. That is so growing pains.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Think about it. Like, they're still figuring their stuff out. And I think there is no, if everybody's the same, because that's what WCW tried to do. They tried to be the same thing, and can be fun back and forth, but it's also nice to just have, like, alternatives that are actual alternatives. And it may not reach the same business heights because it's not as wide a margin as, a swath that they're going for. But that's fine. You can have really huge niches. And I think that's where sometimes people get lost in the weeds about it. Like, it has to eventually be as big as WWE. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It honestly doesn't. But also, the other part, too, that people are, like, really missing out on is the fact that look at, like, what WWE is doing right now. And I know, like, and we'll talk a little bit about The Rock later on, but, like, him coming back and doing it the way that he was doing it, people were ready to just absolutely just shit all over WWE for the way that they were presenting The Rock and this whole situation. And then they pivoted, and they pivoted greatly, and they leaned into a lot of the absurdity and the bad guy gimmick and all these different things. And it was just really smartly done. But let's not forget that, like, a few months back, everyone was questioning a lot of the decisions. That there were, like, some things that they were liking, and then there were other things that they were just, like, not liking. And then this happened, and now the build to WrestleMania, it's like, everyone just has recency bias of the fact that like WWE has always put out a great product, but like or let me rephrase that. I've always put out a good product.
Polished.
Now they're putting out a great product. Like for example, that whole sequence of Seth Rollins like leave in Monday Night Raw, walking and countering Drew, that one shot. That was freaking money. That was so good. Like the way that they pull that off. And again, you may look at it and be like, oh, you know, like it's just a camera shot. But it's like the coordination, the amount of people it takes to like make sure that that thing hits exactly where it does. The spin around the corner. Like they're taking risks and it's paying off from a presentational standpoint. And people are noticing that. It's almost as if we've been saying it all these years.
Right. Yeah. That camera shot told 3 different stories. Like that's what was so great about it, and it did it in less than 60 seconds. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's good. That's the kind of stuff that it's like we're seeing more of that. We're also getting a little bit of that in AEW as well, with Renee over on the side doing her like, this is the update, this is the story. I'm going to give you everything as it's laid out and what has happened, right? And we could talk more about that a little bit later, but there's definitely like. We're seeing creative new ideas being ushered in now, and that is what makes pro wrestling fucking awesome. So, with that being said, let's dive in to the first awesome thing that happened, which is Jade Cargill making her big debut, which we knew. I mean, she debuted in the Royal Rumble, but this time around,
Smackdown.
her official, she came out. Nick Aldis brought her out, and I will say, first and foremost, Jade Cargill, I mean, the look, everyone knows. She is a goddess. She looks like a goddess. She presents herself like a goddess. But the one area that they're definitely going to need to, like, get her character honed in on is how does Jade Cargill do when she doesn't have the freedom to just curse and do whatever the hell she wants like she did in AEW TV? That is going to be very fascinating. What Matt, what did you think of her promo when she came out?
So I didn't want to get to that too fast, but because I do want to put over. I'll sandwich it.
Sure, go for it.
Incredible presentation. Again, we know WWE's cooking on all cylinders with that. Almost, I would say, teeny tiny bit. Very has a kinship to how they've presented The Rock lately, with like the big lighting, and then it focuses down on that little part of the entrance. They had the laser style lighting, but regardless, presented like a star, came out looking like $1 million. Everything, lighting, music, everything very, very good. You can tell, I think she's still figuring herself out from a production presentation standpoint. The promo was fine. I think she'll have to...
Feels a lot like Mercedes Moné, the inverse, you know?
Yeah, a little. It was just it was a little stilted. I don't know if it was. I feel like it can't be a lack of confidence because she seems like a supremely confident woman, but just like little things, and like her music hit and she went to talk again, like not realizing like, nope, that's the out of the segment. Like, so there's little, I think, just like stutters and stuff that she'll have to grow into, but I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse and judge too harshly yet. I'll be curious to see how. She picks up over the next couple of weeks in Mania and beyond. But a good, from a presentation standpoint, just they did a great job of, this is a star that we are highlighting. It's going to be now up to her to live up to that.
Yeah, I did feel that for sure. Jake, we knew that it was coming. Did you feel like it coming in the way that it did, as far as she's now in this six woman tag match against Damage Control? Is that like a good use of like her debut? Is that enough to get excited about, Jade Cargill? Like, how do you feel?
I think it is. I mean, I agree with Matt that like the presentation, her entrance was awesome. Her entrance was
she looked like a badass.
Really cool, and and she just looks like she was carved out of stone. It's unbelievable. And she comes in, does her promo, which was enough. Like she didn't need to come in and do anything. She didn't need to come in and have some like catchphrases locked and loaded. She didn't need to come in and do anything complex. She just needed to come in and say, "Here's who I am. I'm ready to fight." And that's pretty much what she did. So I think that was fine. I think a lot of it is like, I think some people are going to have trouble getting past, like, I don't think she has to say a lot because of how she looks. I mean, quite honestly.
That's fair.
I mean, because she already looks like a badass, and then you add that entrance to it, and just the general aura that she has and the vibe that she has. It's like, yeah, okay, I buy into it. I don't think she has to talk a whole lot starting out, but I actually like the idea of having her in this 6-woman tag, because it obviously they held her back for a reason, right? They wanted to make sure she was ready for WWE and how WWE does things. You know, bring her up to speed in the ring, bring her up to speed on production stuff. So what this does is this exposes her to a bigger audience in WrestleMania, the biggest audience of the year.
Yeah.
She's going to get the pin and the win. I guarantee it. And it lets her be, so we can, you know, give her a taste of what it's like, and kind of let, you know, the other 5 women in the match kind of help maybe cover up any spots that she, you know, maybe lacking in right now or whatever. So I think it's good because everybody that's in there is phenomenal at what they do. So
yeah.
I think she's going to get featured. I think she's going to get the win. I think she'll come out looking great at it. I think this is a great way to start. I don't think that she was going to immediately be thrown in any kind of title picture or anything like that. I'm just glad that she's finally here, and she is getting a moment at WrestleMania, so she gets that taste. And I think she's gonna come out on the other side of this thing looking even better, and I think we're gonna really like hit the ground running with her. I hope that they're doing some kind of like lady shield or something with the 3 of them, because like they could just that would be incredible. That's an incredible trio that they could have just you know, running roughshod over the women's division. I think that could be a lot of fun.
I do agree with that.
That's I just to piggyback right off that. It's 100%. I mean, that's a great way. I think it works in 2 respects. It protects Jade from an in-ring perspective. Again, there's a lot of pressure in that moment. You know, big WrestleMania debut. They're already presenting her on such a high pedestal. So that's 6-person tags are so easy if you want to do that, because then you give them very specific spots and they look like $1 million. And then on top of it, again, they've done a great job presenting her like a star, but it doesn't hurt her reception to, you know, team her up with 2 really great baby faces as well. Just to really send that home to the audience of like, here's somebody you're going to want to like and cheer for. Let's put them with 2 really hot, really talented baby faces in Naomi and Bianca. And so it's a good, just kind of like push you into the limelight kind of situation for her.
Yeah, I think she comes out looking like $1 million. Like, can you this entrance at WrestleMania? Woo! That's going to
give her an entrance and let her do something some feat of strength. Some double gorilla press to 2 of the Damage Control girls, and that's all you need. And then you get the pin.
Oh, they're probably going to do the whole, like, everyone jumps on her spot, and she does, like, a Samoan drop or something like a follow-up slam.
Or her and Bianca, like, pick up all 3 of them and toss them into the front
and just juggle them. They just juggle them.
Yeah. It's going to be like a display of her strength, for sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Catch it.
Yeah. like a cheerleader pyramid, but deadly. And
Yeah, no, we would have tumbled very quickly had we tried that one. I gotta say though, I am excited for Jade. I think like as someone who watched her run quite a bit in AEW, I felt like one of the bigger issues that she had was that I didn't feel like she could be just another face in the roster. Without the belt, and she had the belt pretty much her entire time, and then when she lost it, she very much, I mean, she left, right, and there wasn't really much else follow up outside of that. So it's like her whole time in AEW, she was basically the inaugural and the longest reigning TBS champion, and everything was just centered around her being a champion. So it's going to be very interesting to see her just be one of the girls and like, you know, struggle, because her presentation right now makes her seem like a super big deal, and when you see someone who is presented in this manner, you're kind of left to think, oh, okay, this person should be going in this direction, and there's going to be a lot of you know, boxes that she's going to need to check along the way that I don't know if I was completely convinced in AEW, but I am a big fan of hers, and I think she is she's just got it. She's got
For
it,
sure.
and she will. Whatever she needs to adjust, she will do it because she has got it, and not a lot of people are starting from that base,
Right. And she's getting great reception.
Oh, for sure.
Like she's getting big pops when she comes out. People are excited to see her.
She should, because she's incredible, and she's only going to continue to be incredible. Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. But we'll keep our eyes on what's going on with Jade Cargill as we get closer, and of course, for all of our thoughts on predictions, make sure you guys are tuning in for our Friday show where we are going to give our predictions for the card. We're going to go down the line, who we think is going to win. Some of them will elaborate. Some of them I think we kind of just know, and we're just going to say it. We'll go from there. So make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube as well as checking us out on Spotify and all the other stuff. So let's move on, though, to our next topic because we're taking it over to the boys in AEW. And this time around, I actually want to start things off a little bit differently because there was an interview that Becky Lynch had. I know I said AEW and I'm talking about Becky Lynch, but I think this is important because she had outlined how she felt as if storytelling is first and the craft is second. And her actual quote was, "Number one is storytelling because ain't nobody going to care what you do in the ring if you have not told a good story." There's a line that says, "A promo is a match and a match is a promo. You tell a story during the match, but to know what the story you're telling in the match comes before the craft, before the nitty-gritty, before you get down to that. That's number one, and then the craft of the actual wrestling." There's been a lot of talk.
That's why she's the man.
That's why she's the man. Now, there's been a lot of talk regarding this lately, and I know we talked about different styles, right, of storytelling. So the reason why I'm using this is because I think it's safe to say that this Will Ospreay, Don Callis family story is a very different way to approach storytelling. But I have a theory, but I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this because, well, yeah, it just feels like it feels like it doesn't make any sense, but I don't know why. I have a feeling this is leading to something bigger. How do you guys feel about the Don Callis, Will Ospreay essentially just running through the Don Callis family, which is his own faction, quote unquote? Do you feel like that's a bad story? Do you feel like it's a good story, Matt? Because I know you have opinions.
I have thoughts.
We did it.
He did the thing. No, so it's fine. I think, as we've well established, I think this first run, a little chunk of the run for Ospreay has very just been about feature him as one of the best workers, one of the best wrestlers on the roster in the world, etc. We're building to this match with Bryan Danielson, who many widely consider as one of the best wrestlers in the world from a technical perspective and all that. So comes in with Takesha, then we're gonna have coming out the day this comes out, we're gonna have the Battle of Wills. Come on. I mean, just tell me it's the first time ever. That would make me more hyped than the Battle of Wills. The Battle of Steves, everybody. It's Steve Blackman versus Steve Austin. I don't care. But it's obviously in my head anyway, it's gonna lead to an eventual split from the Don Callis family. He was because I think Callis would be like, this is what I wanted, test him the best, but then everybody's gonna get mad that Will's beating everybody, and it will probably lead to some kind of split, which is perfectly fine. I don't hate it. I'm not foaming at the mouth for it, but I think it's perfectly fine, especially in this build up to a who is the best kind of match with Bryan that they're going to have at Dynasty. So it's there.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's a story that it's serving
perfectly
its purpose.
serviceable. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because the way that I had seen it, and Jake, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, but I was going to say, go for it.
So I'm gonna look at this from more of as someone who fancies himself a writer. I don't think the story always has to be. This is probably going to upset some people who also fancy themselves writers. I don't think necessarily the purpose or the plot necessarily has to be just completely presented to you right off the bat. I think so. Oftentimes when I watch a new show, like if it's new to me or if it's brand new, I give it 6 episodes. the pilot doesn't have to necessarily like catch you, because I think because a lot of times you think you know what the show or the story is, and then you find out what it really is later. Shows like Community did that. Community thought it knew what it was until about the Halloween episode of season 1. Yeah. I think 30 Rock did that to an extent. Seinfeld did that to an extent. Like a lot of these, it's rare that you get a pilot and that's everything exactly clicks. How the show. Like Arrested Development is maybe one of the only ones that did that. So I usually give it 6 episodes to let it find itself, because that's a lot of times what it's doing, and I think that's what this story is doing. It's trying to find itself a little bit, trying to see, let's put people in there that he'll have great matches with, and then kind of figure out what the story is. But man, we're about on episode 5 for me. They need to figure out what the hell this is for me to continue buying into whatever it is that they're doing. Like, why is he running through all the members of his own faction? We don't really have a clear answer for that yet.
I have thoughts,
of course,
and opinions.
Yes.
All right. So here's the thing, right? Immediately, yes, I agree with you, Jake, in that the purpose of these matches were to give Will Ospreay an incredible talent to display his talent with, right? Takeshita, obviously a perfect candidate for that. I think a lot of us can probably say at this point, technically speaking, Takeshita's rising in the ranks is like one of the most sound and just talent. He reminds me of Claudio, of Cesaro. He reminds me of just like a guy who's like just a tall dude, can do a lot of great moves, a lot of quick moves, can do a lot of big man moves. He's got all that. Perfect opponent for a guy like Will Ospreay to show off his skill. Then he ends up having a match with Kyle Fletcher, which I think was part Will Ospreay wanted to have a match with his buddy, but also it was another great display of another great opponent and a guy who I think AEW does have something genuinely in with Kyle Fletcher. Like he's got a look, he's got something that's working for him right now, and they got to continue to hone that in. And I think Ring of Honor is a perfect place for him to do that. Hopefully he starts to make his way over to AEW proper more often. And then he says, okay, anything you could do, Brian, I could do better. So he fights Shibata, and he puts on a banger with Shibata, which, by the way, please just go watch it. Like that match and Brian Shibata match. Shibata is also, I'm excited to see what they do with him. I hope they do something with him outside of him just coming in, losing great matches, because I'll be very disappointed. Anyway, now, Will Hobbs and where this kind of goes. Firstly, you're showing Will Ospreay against an opponent of a different body type, which is also very good for him to kind of like show off that he can do big man matches, and he can, he's showing his range. I think that's really what this whole run has been of Will Ospreay. It's let's show Will Ospreay's range as a talent, not only as a wrestler but also as an in-ring, performer, as a promo guy, right? So they're really building upon this. Now, where I think it eventually goes, and what I would like to see happen, is that Don Callis basically gets called out by his crew for like feeding them to the wolf that is Will Ospreay. They get pissed off. They either bail on him, or Don Callis just says, which I think is a more likely one, like, these guys are terrible, they're awful, blah, blah, blah. And then he's just going to hitch his wagon onto Ospreay. And then we're going to have like this bad guy Don Callis, good guy Will Ospreay thing, and that could very well be where the story goes from there. And then maybe Takesha's like sprinkled in between, I don't know, but it does feel as if we're going to the implosion of the Don Callis family, which is a good thing in my opinion, because some of these factions need to blow up and they need to like go away. So that's what I think is going to happen. That's I
could buy on that. I could bite on it. I could chew on it, put it in my sandwich, take a little bite of it.
Yeah. Save it for later. Put it back in the fridge. Take it out. Maybe reheat it.
Yeah. I ain't mad at having that one on hand.
Does it change the world? No, it doesn't. But it makes Will Ospreay just look good in the process of just having great match after great match after great match. But if you alternate that to what's going on in WWE and what we just saw on Monday Night Raw with Ricochet. And I think the WWE is doing a very similar story, but with Ricochet and the Judgment Day. And I am loving everything. Firstly, the fact that Ricochet is back and everyone's top of the mind makes me so happy because he's like the nicest dude ever, and everyone should just enjoy the ride that Ricochet is taking us on. But also, guys, can we talk about that freaking match? I mean, shout out to Ivar, who just continues to prove
been in
that
some
he's
great matches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, he's great.
He's one of the best talents that WWE has right now. Seriously. I mean, like, the man makes everyone look good in the match that he's in. And on top of that, he can do fucking anything. Like,
has that poor guy ever connected on a moonsault, though? I don't think he's hit a single one.
Dude, he hit the
wasn't
springboard.
on the mat.
He hit a springboard. Oh,
yeah.
I think, was it a cutter or a splash? I don't remember. But I just remember seeing this massive Viking just jump on the ropes. I had forgot what the move was afterwards. I was like, oh, this guy's amazing. So, But yeah, does it feel like, though, that WWE's trying to do the same thing that Will Ospreay's getting in AEW, and they're doing it with Ricochet in WWE? Just have a guy go out there, put on 5-star matches, and then get him over that way.
Well,
am I crazy?
What I think we're finally seeing is Triple H finally pushing the talent that he wanted to push all along and couldn't because of
he who should not be named.
Sure, yeah, and because think about it, like another one who has been pushed a lot recently is DIY. That's Triple H's guys.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about Ricochet. I feel like he's like, these are the people that we know can be the kind of talents that we hired them to be. Let's finally give them a proper showcase, and that's what we're seeing from Ricochet.
They did the same thing with Ivy Nile.
DIY. It's the same thing we're seeing. Yeah. So and with Chad Gable. You know, so I that's what I think a lot of it is. I think if a lot of it is it's finally like, you know, as you said earlier, for the longest time, WWE's kind of been this one thing, and I think Triple H is saying, like, you know, if you're gonna have a buffet, have a little of everything in there. You know, you got 3 hours. Don't just do the same old homogenous shit the whole time. Let's mix it up a little bit. You know, like you said, you got a little storytelling, you got a banger of a match, you got something backstage, now you've got, you know, so that's what I think a lot of this is like them branching out and trying new things. And they've been sitting on this gold mine of Ricochet the whole time, and he's finally been pulled out of the grave that he was dug into, and is putting on incredible shows that we all knew he could. And and you can see Ricochet's got his fire back. Like he's having fun, man. He's having fun out in that ring. You can see it. The crowd is super. I mean, they gave both those guys a standing O last night. I mean,
in Brooklyn.
Which Brooklyn,
is like,
yes,
hard place to get a standing O from, but they did it. You know, I agree. Yeah,
I mean, it's great to finally see him be featured like he should be featured. I hope that the only thing is, I hope that this isn't just we're building him up to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royale.
Yeah, which it does look like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and if you'll notice, that was not on our WWE tier list that we did last week. So say what you will, but I hope that's not all this is, though.
What do you think, Matt? Because I was looking at your facial expressions the whole time while that was going on.
It's just I'm trying to. Everything you're saying is right, except I will say this. We're talking. I feel like you're both talking about Ricochet and we're like, oh God, he's finally unleashed. Like they finally realized what they have, and like, here's my only thing. And to a degree, I think you're still right, but he's put on bangers before.
Oh, that's true.
Lot.
Yeah.
They featured him sporadically at these random things. He had that match with Logan Paul last year at SummerSlam. He's had these like random like spurts where like everyone. It's not a secret that Ricochet is really good at the wrestling part of pro wrestling. And I think he's capable of a lot more. So it's just, I hope this leads to more than just, a string of really good matches. Cool.
And that was kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about it in connection to this.
They need to give him something more.
He needs a story. Point. Yeah.
And then he needs to deliver on that, because we have not really seen him get a chance to sink his teeth into some kind of story. And maybe that's what's holding him back. I don't know a ton about his whole journey as far as like character work and everything goes, but like I said this to somebody, I'll remain nameless, at TNA the other day. I was like, hey man, like, what do you think I need to work in? Which is so weird, because I still feel like I'm a kid in this business, but I've been doing it for 13 years, brother.
Yeah.
But no, it was like, dude, because there's so many people like this, like a Ricochet, like a lot of talent that I see. Was like, man, like, you look great. You go out there, you're a great wrestler. And then the big key that so many wrestlers miss, but a lot of people have, like selling an emotion while you're wrestling. That's a huge part too, because there's a lot of people who forget that. I'm like, no, you're great at that. But you need those moments. One of those, like, where it's, like, I hate to say it, but you need that standing in the middle of the ring with a microphone, saying some shit you believe with the bottom of your soul and guts in some kind of rivalry. And again, it doesn't have to be some soap opera overly dramatic, but it's you. Sami Zayn is the best person in the world at it.
Yeah.
And that's why, for a guy who never looked like a goddamn pro wrestler, has become one of the top guys in the business, because he spits things with fire, conviction, honesty, and truth better than 99% of the people out there. You need to have those moments, because otherwise, other than that, you have to have an Rock, LA Knight style thing where it's just this showbiz level charisma that people just gravitate towards. Other than that, man, you need those moments as a person speaking through the camera. And that's what someone like Ricochet needs to take him to that next level. We know he's a good hand. We know that. He's a great hand. He puts on great matches. He could hold a U.S. title for a little bit, an Intercontinental title for a little bit. But if we want him to be that star of that division and then maybe move up, because I'll tell you, Seth Rollins was a great wrestler from the moment he signed a contract.
Yeah,
but you know what, Ben? The Shield stuff, but then what really separated him? Him turning on the Shield, being a corporate stooge, being the authorities guy, then being the, you know what I mean? This architect, these characters. We talked about that before, and getting that time as a character to speak and cut through the camera. I'll shut up now. You get what I'm saying. Yeah,
no, you're 100% right. That's why, like, even though I think it's just funny, because it's like, you know, you got guys like Will Ospreay who show up and are doing these incredible things, but guys like Ricochet were there doing it for a super long time. And I'm glad to see Ricochet is finally like getting, like, not finally, but he's being put on a pathway. Clearly he's being put on a path of like, Ricochet's picking up a lot of wins. This is huge for him. Like they're building that story of like Ricochet's getting hot here. But then when I reflect on like what's going on over in AEW, and I'm like, yeah, man, but Will Ospreay showed up, grabbed a microphone, and felt like a big deal from the moment he like started talking, you know, and then he wrestles, and then he looks like an even bigger deal, and then he's just gonna, because they're gonna keep building around this guy, and he's only going to continue to like just stun us with the matches that he's putting on, and on top of that, he's got that promo skill to it, and I feel like, you know, to bring it all back to the beginning, to Becky's point, I see it. You got to have a little bit of one and the other. You can have a little bit of the storytelling and a lot of great pro wrestling, or you can have a lot of great storytelling and a little bit of great pro wrestling. But like you can't just go out there and just be a great pro wrestler. You have to be a good storyteller as well. There's so many more elements to it. But it's fascinating how it's evolved though, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how people connect, you know. They can't do the shit that Ricochet does. Almost no one can do the shit Ricochet does. So the way they need to connect to him is on a character level, you know. And it's so, but I think they're using him the right way. I think, and it's the same with Ospreay, you know, like let's showcase what he's best at and have him get over that way. And then we can start from there. Then kind of start to fold in the other stuff. You know, that was one thing, Matt, you'd kind of mentioned it, that I wanted to give Ospreay his flowers for, is that dude sells, and he sells really well. And
Yeah.
like, I really
Huge.
appreciate that. I think too many wrestlers today don't realize how much selling does for you.
Everything.
Cody's writhing in pain in the outside in the Chicago rain. I mean, obviously he's getting hit and it does hurt, but you already know my guy is out there putting on an Oscar-worthy performance.
Oh, for sure. And even some of the another one who also I always thought when you think of him, you never think, boy, that guy can sell. Brock Lesnar can sell
That's
like
true.
a son of a bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I always thought was one of the most impressive things about him, because you wouldn't think that he has to, and he doesn't have to, because he's Brock Lesnar. He's a fucking monster.
Yeah, he was selling Daniel Bryan's kicks like
Yes.
crazy. Like, I remember
Yes.
that. Yeah.
And appropriately.
Yes.
I mean, like not. But when we say something, this is something I learned early on. It doesn't automatically just mean putting it over as big as possible and everything. But it's like the appropriate selling for what's happening. And Lesnar would do that again. Whatever you may think about him in light of everything, he did that very, very well. If it's a light hit, you're going to sell it lightly, and that's one of those things. Sometimes we're like, the old adage in wrestling is, man, I wish more wrestlers today have been in a real fight. There is and I kind of agree with it. I've only been in like 2 fights in my life, but like if you know what it's like to get hit, then all of a sudden you understand what it's like. Like, oh, that's what hitting the ribs is like, or getting punched in the nose is. What are you grabbing at? How does that feel? How does that shake you? And stuff like that. The little things like that, they go a long way.
Mm-hmm. They really do. It's a fun convo for sure. We'll continue to keep it going, but for now though, we move on. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Okay. What did you think of Becky's quote? How do you feel about Ricochet? Going over, especially with that incredible match against Ivar. I thought, again, just credit to Ivar, credit to Ricochet. Awesome. Will Ospreay, all that good stuff. Let us know. We want to hear from you. But now we move on to the meat and potatoes of today, as you should expect with the go home Raw before WrestleMania. The Bloodline reigns supreme at the end of Monday Night Raw. This, I will say, to kind of like rewind it, take it to the beginning. Rock comes out. He has his whole new gimmick. He looks awesome. I just love the fact that he has a collection of vests that he just decides to bring out depending on how the weather is.
Like he got into the old storage unit, and like he's worn that vest before. Someone pointed that out. He wore that in like the 90s. So the fact that he's
Really?
it's the exact same. I'll have to go find that tweet, but it's the exact same vest as one he took in like a promo shot in the 90s.
Doesn't shock me. Shock me. He's doing a lot of things on purpose.
Commit to the bit.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of things on purpose. Now, here's the thing, though, right? I will have some grievances here. When he came out and he's started doing his thing, Rock has this thing where it's like you can tell he's a good dude. All right, Dwayne Johnson is just an all right guy. I know I sound cringe saying that, but I've worked with the guy. He's a pretty all right dude. So like I can say that comfortably, having had some great long conversations with him as well. So it's like, that being said, it was just really funny how he was coming out as like the bad guy, and then wasn't really, because like the kids were watching him beat up Cody, and he was showing it on Raw, and it was like, I was cooking at the time, so I'm like trying to figure out like why is he doing this? And then it sounded like he like apologized to the kids, but then he didn't apologize to the parents. It was a little bizarre, but I think that's just Rock, right? I mean, maybe it's like the L thing, right? Maybe just shouldn't look too far into it. He's just gonna say what he wants to say.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's gone on record as saying as much as well, right? It's
yeah.
like, I do things my way. I say things my way. And that's the way it's gonna be. And very many people are gonna question him.
I think the apology thing was still heelish.
You do?
Yes, because he's trying to justify why he did it in the first place. That's what
fair.
great
That's
heels
fair.
do.
That's fair.
He's like, sometimes you just got to do this, kid. Like, kids, let me sit you down and tell you, learn you a little thing about
was great
life.
For that reason. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I think Rock's doing there. I think he's just being like, kids, sometimes you just got to whoop the shit out of a dude. I mean,
sometimes you got to teach a boy a lesson.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. And then he brings out Roman Reigns. It takes about 4 minutes for him to get to the ring. But that's the thing. It didn't matter because Roman Reigns, there's been a lot of conversation about Roman Reigns, he hasn't been here, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't done much, blah, blah, blah. But, dude, the guy got the character just dialed in, makes his way out, looks like a god, has the final pose, then does all their stuff. And then as they're talking and yip-yapping and saying all their things, here comes Seth Rollins from the crowd. Now, this is where I have a grievance with this story, is that he challenged Rock and Roman to a match, which I thought was awesome. I thought him fighting Roman would be like the perfect way for like them. They could run a safe match. They could do a disqualification. I don't think anyone was really expecting it. Just like it'd be cool to see them come out in ring gear or whatever. But instead, no. Instead, he tells him, "You fight me if you have balls." They say, "I lack those. Fight solo instead." And that's when it felt weird, because then Seth Rollins just takes it. And then he's just like, "Yeah, sure, I'll fight solo instead." It's like, what? I don't know. Like, can we stop with good guys being dumb? I don't know. I thought that we complain about that.
That works with the story they've been telling, at least to me. That's Drew's point. That's Drew McIntyre's point this entire time. You're not focusing on the shit that's important. You're doing stupid things and letting your ego get in the way. That's exactly what he did last night.
Okay.
He's pissed off at the bloodline. Let me get in there and whoop some ass. Let's go. I want you, big boy. I want you. Neither of you two? Well, fine. I'll whoop your lackey. You're going to stick the pit bull on me? That's fine. I'm going to put him down. That's how he feels.
His rage, his ego, his anger is getting in the picture. It's blinding him a little bit.
I just didn't get that in the promo. It just felt like they were like, he literally comes out. Okay, he also comes out and he's like, "I'll fight you anywhere. It doesn't matter. Could be any stipulation. Bloodline rules." And then like they say at the end when they confirm that it's solo, and then The Rock's like, "Oh, and it's Bloodline rules," which also, that's fine. But they were like, "It's Bloodline rules." And then Seth has this look on his face where he's like, "What? How could this be? Wow, this is serious." Even though you just said it, you ding dong. Like, I'm that part, I'm a little like, and again, I'm not asking, I know that it's asking a lot in live TV for everything to be 100% planned and perfect. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying that. But it's just like, sometimes good guys it's so easy to make a good guy look stupid. This was that time.
Sure. And in my opinion, there was more of that later, but we can cover them when we get to the end of the night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we should probably get there. But Jake, you had something you wanted to add to that? Sorry, I didn't know if you...
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, the only thing I can think for that, and this isn't me trying to come up with an excuse for Seth or how he portrayed it. I'm just trying to figure how can you work that into the story that's been telling. The only thing I can think of is he didn't expect they would take his challenge at all, and it was more of I'm just posturing to show what a bunch of bitches you are, and I didn't think either one of you would take a match, and I certainly didn't think you would want to do a Bloodline rules
and for
match.
Kind I think still, it just made sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because he just came back from his knee thing. So, like, I think he just needed to get, you kind of need that first pancake. What better way to do that than, against a really good Solo Sikoa on Raw. That was a great way for Seth to just kind of, like, shake the rust off of his knee, right? Because he's been sidelined for a little while. Outside of that, though, I agree with what you're saying, though, Jake. I like that angle. I like the fact that, yes, the story has been Seth is distracted. Funny thing, they literally did this with Orange Cassidy and the International Championship, which I think is great. It's like, obviously, it's not like, copying or anything. I just think this story always works out. I love how this story usually plays out. And if they go in the direction that Drew beats Seth at Mania, and then there could be shenanigans afterwards, that just continues to add to it. But this is interesting, though. I thought that Drew and Seth would fight main event night 1, and then the Bloodline match would open up night 1. But instead, Bloodline match is going to close night 1. Seth and Drew open up night 2.
Yep.
So that I thought was interesting, because I think there is something there with the order and like what they're trying to tell the story with. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too far into it, but
No, I think it's all. Yeah. We'll talk more about that in the Mania preview, perhaps. But I think it's very deliberately paced out that way, and I've reasons I think why.
I do too. Yeah. So.
Oh well, it looks like you guys are just gonna
watch
have to
that episode.
Watch the Mania preview when we break it all down. Okay, well let's go and fast forward though. So as the night moves on, we then get to our main event: Seth Rollins versus Solo Sikoa. We already talked about it, but that camera shot of Seth coming out and the storytelling that they told along the way. I thought it was funny again because Seth would just look at Drew and just said, "I'm not dead yet." Just walked out. I was like, "Oh, this is some foreshadowing here, guys." And my voice cracks, but there's some foreshadowing here. Like, this is crazy. And then of course, as the match continues, Bloodline shenanigans happen. Jimmy comes out. Jay comes out. The final boss arrives, punches the shit out of Jay, knocks him into the nether realm, never to be seen again. And then as he's standing over, The Rock stands over Seth Rollins. The American Nightmare shows up. They got him. They tricked those sons of bitches. Caught them off guard. But wait a minute. Roman Reigns didn't actually check out for the night. No, instead he just shows up. And he starts beating the shit out of them. So Jay, nowhere to be found, got punched like a Super Smash Brothers character out of the map. And then you just see Cody and Seth just get brutalized. And it was a brutal ass whooping. Right in the middle of the ring, NWO style. Just grabbed the belts and just whooped that ass. So, but Cody and Seth, once again, look like ding-dongs. They get caught with their pants down. I just think it's like...
A little bit, yeah. Like, so that was my big thing. My big thing was... Great. Again, we've talked about the production level has been really great in getting certain camera shots and angles and everything for the storytelling, which has been good. The shift, Seth is down, Rock is over him, the smirk on his face right before Cody shows up is a great reveal and moment. It would have been better served, I think, if it would have paid off better, but just because it was like Cody, I guess that the big angle was like, oh, he's not medically cleared, he shouldn't be here, but the idea that like Seth has this big smirk of like, you fucked up kind of thing. And it's one guy who runs out and still like a 3-on-2 advantage. Like, it's not like the Hulk came out and is like, you messed up. The T-Rex is here and he's going to bite you and throw you out of the scene like the end of a movie. So it made me feel like, why are you smirking so big? It's not like it's good.
Like,
it helps you.
Now, it would have been more of a trap if he had, like, popped out from under the ring or it was, like, a way for him to get there, but instead, no.
Or there were 4 guys running out and absolutely ran the bloodline off.
Right.
And it was like, see, we are more than prepared for your candy asses.
Yeah, like
but
if Jay,
wasn't
removed from the game completely, you know, like deleted like a DLC character. Like, it just felt like that part was like very bizarre. Jake, it just the whole time I'm like, man, they're really running with the idea that these guys are dumb and they're gonna keep getting caught off guard. But now at this point, do you get a Cody Seth rising tall and Smackdown situation? Because I don't know, I feel like that'd be kind of forcing it. No,
I think they've done a good job they've turned the physicality up in the last few weeks. It's been, so far, the last like 2 weeks has been very Bloodline heavy. I think, and maybe we'll get more into this on the Mania episode, I think you do. I think you send up a good guy standing up, heading into Mania, and then things change at Mania before going... ups and downs. It's cool. Yeah. There's a lot of ups and downs. I think so. I think ending this week, I think we'll see our good guys standing tall for a moment.
What about you, Jake?
I'm having a tough time. I'm having a real tough time deciding what they should do. Part of me thinks they should get the shit kicked out of them again.
Yeah, keep beating them down, right?
Part of me thinks keep stacking the deck. Keep stacking the deck against them going into night 1 of WrestleMania like this just happened. Like, oh my God, if you want to play up, he's got a rib injury now from this, and how is he going so you've got an injured Seth Rollins with a rib thing and to build up 2 matches really between, Seth and Drew, and then, the main event. But I don't know. Like, I think if you keep stacking the deck against them and you do decide to have Cody go over, like, I feel like that, I almost feel like that's more impactful of, like, look at the shit they had to overcome.
It's kind of like what happened with Daniel Bryan and the Authority, right? Like, week in and week out, he was just getting his ass beat. And I won't lie, after a while, I was like, I am tired of this. This is getting lame. But then 30 happened. And then he, has the moment and defeats Triple H, defeats Randy Orton and Batista all in the same night, literally dismantles Evolution. Was a cool thing, but it was also just like, it took so much for us to get there.
But I think one of the things that they're doing, because the whole, like, they are kind of looking dumb, but I think what it is it's people who think they're playing smart going against people who play dirty, and dirty's almost always going to beat smart because it's dirty, and that's kind of what I think is happening a little bit here. Of like, I think it's kind of, I'm wondering if it's going to be a thing of Seth and or Cody has to do something or go to a point that they never wanted to or thought they would have to be able to get this win. Yeah. And a lot of people have been talking about, like, of we got to even the odds. We got to even the odds. Man, you can do that as many numbers as you want, but if they're playing dirty, like, what sucks is you're going to go down to their level. You can't expect that they're going to rise to yours. You're going to have to go down to theirs.
That's why I think Seth Rollins comes in. I think that's where Seth Rollins' whole angle is like the architect, the bad guy, right? I think could maybe play a role here, because that I mean, again, we don't have to go too far into it because there's so much that we can cover today, and there's also so much we're going to cover in the prediction show. But I think that there is a really fun story that they could take here with post-Mania, Seth Rollins. I mean, if this doesn't end with Rollins losing his title and Cody winning his title, I would be very confused as to, like, what the objective of all of this was the whole time, because... And then at that point, it's like you're just changing it just to change it because it's clearly not the story that you were inching toward. I can't help but feel like there is going to be a way that Seth Rollins can kind of, like, leverage this negatively against Cody down the line. And,
for sure.
Like,
it's,
you didn't everything.
Cody's like, no, we can't do it this way. We can't stoop to their level. And Seth is like,
probably that happens in the match.
We have to. This is what we have to do to win. You don't understand. I know people like this. I used to be someone like this. And Cody says no. And what happens? It costs them the match. Seth gets hurt. And it costs him his title. Like, you could do something like that. And that's a catalyst for...
That's a good story.
Save the juice. We got another episode to do.
There are all sorts of directions we can take with this, honestly. But I guess, though, now, as we kind of get ready for this, there are a few things that, like, are kind of sticking out to me a little bit in the Bloodline picture, right? Like the Jimmy J matchup. Like, honestly, I would really hate it if it's just Jimmy is going to Mania to take an L. That wouldn't be particularly fun, but it seems like that's just a direction that they're going in, which is kind of lame. And then, of course, there's Solo, and there's the main event on Smackdown that we don't really know. And then on top of that, Bloodline Rules was kind of nothing. I mean, Bloodline Rules was just a no disqualification.
It was literally the Bloodline interferes.
Yeah, Bloodline Rules is Bloodline interferes, a.k.a. every Roman Reigns match since he's won the championship. So... It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if saying Bloodline Rules was like the best idea because now I heard Bloodline Rules. I'm just like, oh, okay, so no disqualification match. I mean, sure. Like,
right.
Which is
at least have some been, right? At least have some tiki torches and like a pig roast or something.
I was hoping for something, I want a little gimmick somewhere
to distinguish it.
You know what I mean? Just give me something with blood. I don't know. Like I just want something. I don't know. Maybe he's asking too much.
It's a tough spot because you give him that little, like, I think the idea was to give him a morsel and then of a reminder of what could happen should that stipulation come into play at Mania. You don't want to give him the whole kit and caboodle.
That's true.
Because we might see that. We might see that at Mania, which we definitely will.
Did they even ring the bell at the end? I don't even think they rang the bell.
No,
so
there is no winner.
the match is
nobody
going in
just got thrown
perpetuity.
out.
They're just gonna they're still fighting. Some say till this day.
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah. It's just, that's Bloodline Rules, baby.
It's like Curtis
Curtis
Axel
is in the Rumble. Yep. It's lore, baby. It's
He's
canon.
still in it. He's still in it. Okay, always and forever. Oh man, yeah. I'm really enthusiastic about the storyline only because we're here. We're there. Like, this is it. This is the last week. Roman Reigns could be a undisputed universal champion coming out of it. Could not be. Who knows? There's so much that we could discuss. And the good news is we will in our next episode, which will be our prediction show. We'll dive way deeper into the card. That'll be dropping on Friday. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. It'll drop Friday in the morning, Pacific time. And then we'll, of course, share it in our Discord and all that good stuff. For now, though, let's go around the squared circle. Talk about some of the other smaller stories that, while we can't necessarily dedicate a whole segment to, we do want to at least talk about because there's so much pro wrestling out there and we want to discuss. So, Matt, I know we got some cool stuff with Mustafa Ali over in TNA land. What's up there?
Yeah, man, he's been doing, a lot of people have seen, he's made a lot of waves since kind of relaunching his independent, excursion, if you will, going around pretty much everywhere around the world. And he's made a big home in TNA. X Division champion, winning in his debut, but like just this past week, especially because he showed up on the cover of PWI. Only, there's obviously some huge representation stuff that we know was
That's
personal
awesome
to him as well. But in addition, like little things like the only the second ever X Division champion cover personality besides Samoa Joe from back in 2006.
Crazy.
Which is a cool deal.
Also, that picture goes hard, by the way. It looks so sick.
Oh yeah. And so like not only just literally making headlines and waves with what but a lot of it is because of this character he's embraced, this kind of politician-esque. He's going on a campaign to change wrestling, to change the X Division in TNA, and he's just really committed to it and is having a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And is just totally different than other things. He's been wanting to do this character for a while. He's been able to do some really cool things. So if you haven't checked out TNA, again, I know it's a selfish plug, but come check out the work he's doing.
It's $1.
It's really
$1
on YouTube.
It's $1 on YouTube, you heathens. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it.
So just to have, even if you don't always watch it, the option is there for 99 cents a month.
Yes.
So he's been killing it. So I highly encourage people to check that out.
Awesome. Yeah. No. Ali's definitely like. I'm glad that, and also he's getting that freedom to do it in TNA. TNA is the perfect, I think, middle ground of all pro wrestling. It's where you have banger professional wrestling matches, you have really cool, consistent storytelling, and you have characters that have history that like connect and interlink with one another. There's always like Eddie Edwards is always teaming up with someone that beat him up previously. I love it. Always. He shows up with Sami Callihan, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm almost certain they hated each other. What is going on here? Oh, no, they're best friends now. Now they hate Eric Young. Oh, okay, cool. I thought they were cool with Eric Young. Oh, no, Eric Young now hates all these people, and Moose is involved. Okay, I'm fucking in. Like, it's just...
If you can't beat them, join them, man.
Exactly, man. That's it, man. Love it, love it. Something that I wanted to shine a little bit of a light on as we talk about the weirdness that was the Swerve Strickland Konosuke Takeshita match on AEW Dynamite main event, by the way. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it was a fantastic match. I mean, I cannot stress enough. It was so good. But there are these small things that I really hope to see them kind of inch toward in the future. Like, for example, Takeshita. He has a really cool gimmick right now. This like red mask and the red jacket, and he's finally got music, and it's not the fucking brown noise from South Park anymore. So he's got like an actual theme music, which is great. And I kind of just want him to build on his presentation more, because the moment Takeshita gets in the ring and the moment he starts wrestling, you're like, this guy is unreal. But he just really quickly made his way down to the ring with Don Callis. Don Callis is just yelling all these whatever all over the place. Then he just gets in. He doesn't have the mask off. He takes the mask off the moment he comes out. Maybe it's a safety thing. Maybe he can't see it when he's walking. It's perfectly fine. But it's just little things like that. And also the main event was odd because they didn't mention much that it was a number one contender match, which I didn't really fathom. But again, it's I'm glad that was the match because it was so freaking good. So just go check out the match. But I really just hope that AEW starts to really focus in on the moment-to-moment storytelling in the ring, and also ramifications. Because it's a problem that we had in Valorant one time where we had a really big match. It was a qualification match for Madrid and for the event that I was just at. And, we were there all day. We were working all day. We were doing a bunch of matches. And we completely, it fell from our mind that this was a number one contender match, essentially. That this was a qualification match to go to Madrid. So when we had done the death segment, I had said, and the winner moves on to Madrid. And then my analyst, Mimi, looked at me and she's like, I don't think we mentioned that a single time. That's not good. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's really bad. We should have fixed that. And granted, we were exhausted and it's a different world in esports. But the thing is that you got to be able to marquee those moments. And I just felt like that moment wasn't marqueed enough. And I hope that that's something that they can focus on in the future,
For sure.
Yeah.
That's my little gripe. But go watch the match. It was so fucking good. It was unreal. Jake, any musings on your side?
Yeah. So I had actually written a note last week about something. If we had gotten the chance to talk about it, I was going to bring it up. And it has proven quite prophetic.
Oh.
We're doing Rocky IV at WrestleMania.
We are doing Rocky IV.
We're straight up doing
really
Rocky IV at WrestleMania, and I could not be more excited. The package that they did last night with Chad Gable and Sami Zayn was so good.
Dude.
It was so good. And it
went a little long, but it was still good.
Yes. But it was only good because of how much they bought into it.
Committed to the bit.
They committed to the bit. It was, and before, when I was last week, I was going we're gonna do Rocky IV because he's working with his Apollo Creed. Well, that's 100% confirmed. They literally jacked lines from Rocky IV. What do you want to hear? Yeah. I'm afraid. Okay.
Yes,
I'm afraid. That's they literally. I'm scared. Okay. They literally took that, and it was so good. But I believe Sammy.
It didn't feel like a spoof.
No,
it felt like they were in. But that's what I mean. It's so easy to do those. That's what I said it on Twitter last night or whatever. You can make this super super campy, funny, and it was a little bit because it was clearly a little bit of a riff on that. But like you're saying, Jake, they committed so hard to it that when Sammy said that, as corny as it is to make that direct rip, it was I still was like, I buy it. He was so committed and into the characters. Yes.
Yeah.
Only bit of criticism that I have regarding that, because my wife was watching with me.
Is because Gunther didn't actually kill Chad Gable?
Gunther could have murdered him. That would have been hilarious. No, what she was saying was that it's weird that they did this big video package in the arena after doing another big video package. Mm-hmm. And she's like, this must not be very fun to watch if you're in person. But I guess maybe not, because having gone to these shows, people just will probably use this as an opportunity to go poop or pee or grab a drink.
Usually you would try to avoid doing two long video packages, right? That's
it's Mania season, so they can get away with it.
Yeah, but normally, you would try to. But it's a good point, though.
But she was watching. She was like, man, if I was there and they barely were wrestling, I would be pretty pissed. And I was like, well, it's WrestleMania season, She was like, yeah, but you kind of expect it from a wrestling show, right? So her being on the outside, kind of viewing it that way, I thought was quite fascinating. But hey, man, that crowd, white hot. They were into literally, like, I think The Rock could have just gone on there, taken a shit in the middle of the ring, and everyone would have lost their damn mind. I mean, to be fair, that would be fucking wild.
That would be an interesting development for sure.
But, you know, definitely
once in a lifetime, The Rock versus IBS, WrestleMania 40.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm going to, if you smell.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and call it there because, look, there's more that we could dive into. But as we keep saying, we got more to come. We have our WrestleMania card predictions for nights 1 and 2 that we'll be doing on Friday. That will drop in the morning. So if you guys care about that and all of our predictions, it'll go in there. So we will instead leave out with a question for the community. If you made it this far, this is for you.
What about our champion? Are we doing our champion this week?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, shit. We got
Who's
a
our
champion.
24/7 champion of the week.
Okay, wait a minute. We got it. I'm putting it in. I got put it in, brother.
Official.
Rebooked champ of the week. So last week, it was Drew. So
Yes.
does Drew retain the title this week, or is there a new contender? Ooh.
It's a tough one. It is absolutely a tough one.
I got one.
I don't know if Drew had enough meat in that fight this week to maintain. I think we might
That's
have
fair.
a new. I think we could have a new one. Who do you think, GB?
I mean, look, I talk too much, so I want to see what you guys go with first, and then I'll make my nomination. Unless you guys are still thinking, then I can cover for the time being. Because if you guys,
I feel like I need a little bit of a.
Fine, I'll give it
I
to
need
you.
to feed off your energy. Yeah.
My MVP of the week is Bronson Reed. Because Bronson Reed, yet again, just continues to show why having big men in WWE really helps to not only make other wrestlers look good, but also to make themselves look good. And I think Bronson Reed, every single time that he steps into the ring, he always has a banger matchup. He wrestled Sami Zayn. I think he did exactly what he needed to do, which was show Zayn overcoming the odds against a big opponent. Like, he's got to get his flowers eventually. Hopefully he wins Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale on SmackDown. That'd be really nice to just give it to him because he is, for someone as good as he is, and the fact that he's taken so many L's, it's you got to throw the guy a bone somewhere because at some point Big Bronson Reed's going to seem like a big letdown if they keep letting him just take only L's. But when he is in that ring, he elevates the people that he's wrestling with, and his size obviously plays a big part in that. But he's just fucking great. So Bronson Reed is my out of left field pick. What about you guys?
It's incredibly out of left field, and it's wrong. But he's great. You're wrong in this one. You're objectively wrong.
Okay.
Bronson's great. I love the man, but he didn't do enough. He played his part. You're right, and he does. He needs to get his flowers, but right now he's not getting that. And that's, hopefully it happens soon, so he doesn't get it this week.
He doesn't get it. All right, I love it.
I have mine. Little out of left field, but I think it deserves. I almost wanted to talk about it in the episode, but I'll talk about it here. Io Sky, because that promo she cut, that nice that was jumped by Bayley attacking her, which was okay, but the promo made me care more about that rivalry than I have in weeks. And I love that her doing it in her native Japanese. You could tell she was comfortable and committed and had conviction. And then filtering it with all the footage and just the way it was shot, I thought it was awesome. Made me care more about that than I have in a long time.
All right.
Jake?
Mine is extremely out of left field.
Ooh, we got 3 different picks. Let's go.
Mine's extremely out of left field. Let me just explain. This weekend, I had the distinct pleasure to get to witness history. Okay?
Nobody cares about basketball.
Got to witness history.
We're here for wrestling.
I went and got to see the Alabama Crimson Tide make their first Final Four appearance So mine goes to this man. This man, Nate Oates, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, who's right there with his very own golden title that he got from WWE because because there was a player who, after we beat UNC, they said, "What does it feel like to beat UNC?" And he said, has to feel like how Brock Lesnar felt after breaking Undertaker's streak." And then he just went on and on and on about using that comparison. So WWE sent them that title, and they got that after they made it to the Final Four. Nate Goats. That's my champion of the week.
All right, I'll do it. I'll go with
You're going to give it to him?
I actually got to go to that game. I can't believe I was there. I was there by myself. It was incredible.
So who are we giving it to? Are we giving it to the Crimson Tide, or are we giving it to the
coach in particular?
The coach. What's the coach's name again? Sorry,
Nate Oates.
Nate Oates. We're giving it to Coach Nate Oates, coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Am I getting that right? Okay, Alabama.
This is his biggest title win to date.
This one. That's true. That is
okay,
true.
So we got Drew McIntyre as our inaugural champion. And our second champion is Coach Nate Oates of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
We're setting a precedent here, folks.
For winning that championship to the Undertaker losing the streak to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I love it. This is literally what the title was made for. I mean, because genuinely anyone can win the 24/7 title
as long as it's related to wrestling, and
that's true. Honestly,
narrowly is related. to
Sometimes
wrestling.
it might not even be related to wrestling.
Maybe not.
Pandora's box has been wide open. We have completely thrown.
As always, but as we want to do now, if you watch this far, who's your 24/7 Rebooked champion of the week? You let us know in comments on the podcast platform, YouTube, wherever you check this out. Let us know your pick.
We want to hear from you. And finally, our closing question. We want to know, what do you guys think is going to be the most out of left field, WrestleMania return reveal? Go nuts. What would be something that would make you lose your mind? You know what would make me lose my mind? If Tanahashi just showed up. If Tanahashi showed up in the middle of the main event at WrestleMania and was a part of ending the Bloodline streak. Like, if for some reason they're just like, what the hell is New Japan's Tanahashi doing here? This is unbelievable. Like, I would pop. I would, even if it made no story sense, I would lose my freaking mind. So that's my pick.
Tanahashi, the new president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, buys Smackdown and signs the
and brings the fist
at
back.
WrestleMania.
And brings the fist
back.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be it.
I love it.
So yeah, go nuts.
Okay, my left field return WrestleMania is always full of classic characters coming back into the fold, right?
Yes.
We have this big tag team ladder match. Guys, I think The Miz gets hurt. I think The Miz has mysteriously jumped backstage before the tag team championship ladder match.
By who?
And I think R-Truth is joined. Last minute, he has to go it alone for most of the match. He's beaten down. He's broken.
Makes
sense.
Can't
do it. But then the gobbledygooker arises from the ashes and wins.
The Shockmaster.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say Little Jimmy.
Oh my God,
Little Jimmy. Dude,
that might be even better. To be fair,
see that's not out of left field though. I can see that happening.
Yeah, that's true.
I can genuinely see it happening.
Well,
what about you, Jake?
Matt, it's ironic that you bring up the gobbledygooker because mine is a dare I say part of his bloodline. So during the main event, Sunday night, everybody has come out. I mean, all these different people have come out to get involved in the match. But who comes strutting out that entrance and down the ramp? The San Diego Chicken.
The San Diego Chicken.
The San Diego Chicken strolls on down the ramp, hops in the ring, starts wailing on the Rock.
Never mind. I thought I knew where you were
going. Starts wailing on the Rock, and finally they get him, and they take off his mask to reveal, no, it's not Pete Rose this time. It's Zachary Levi. And Zachary Levi has come to fight The Rock. Shazam himself has come to fight Black Adam. And The Rock goes on to, live on television in the middle of the ring in Philadelphia, murder Zachary Levi and present his head to Mama Rhodes.
You know, honestly, I also would have gone with, I would have been okay with Henry Cavill to finish the post-credit scene that never was.
Yeah.
Also, for some reason, wasn't there a wrestler named the Red Rooster? Or something like
Terry
that.
Taylor.
Yeah. I thought of he could
My
have
good
saved the
friend
Red
Terry
Rooster.
Taylor.
No, do you remember that Royal Rumble where Pete Rose came out dressed as the San Diego Chicken to fight Kane? Yeah.
That's
I don't
so
know
good.
why that just stuck in my mind.
I love how I thought about bizarre, out of left field things, and both of you picked poultry as your option. I guess
hungry.
we got to take a break to get some food.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us here at Rebooked. Thank you all so much for tuning in, listening. Hopefully you had fun today. Don't forget, on Friday, we have our WrestleMania predictions episode. You don't want to miss it. All the things, everything that we've talked about culminates to this right here. We're going to talk the entirety of the card, top to bottom. But don't, you know, we're going to dive into the big matches 100%. And there could even be some fantasy booking at the end of there, brother. Who knows? What happens on the Raw after Mania? Well, we'll find out. It's going to be amazing. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on your preferred podcast platform of choice, make sure you give it, the rate. And on Spotify, I'm going to put a question on there. The question will be, what is the most out of left field WrestleMania return that you'd want? Make sure you guys are sounding off on Spotify. And if it's good, we'll read it on next week's episode of Rebook. So go ahead, have fun. Join us on Discord, all that good stuff. We'll catch you all next time. Until then, take it easy, folks. We'll see you soon.